All right, so Instagram, just waiting for Facebook and YouTube to catch up. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Who's here? Good to see everyone. Still waiting on Facebook. I don't know what the delay is. Why did my mom say wow? I don't know why you said wow, Mom. I see Christina is here. Gloria's here. Good to see you, Gloria. David in California, great to see you. Okay, now it's working. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Santustachio is here. Very good. Gloria. Hi, Jen. Hey, Rick. Any conspiracies this week? No. No new conspiracies. Hello, Texas. Good. People all here. Oh, my mom said wow because she was on time. My mom was always late. Sherry. Hi, Sherry in Maryland. Cheryl. Good to see you. Daniela. Linda in Florida. Good. All right. So it's working. Everybody's here. You can hear me. I'm at home because it's another Tipsy Tuesday home edition. Oh, Nina in Chicago. Very good. All right. So today, did I get my hair cut? Yes. You can't tell. I got the sides and the back cut. It was really long. I kind of left the top long. But yeah, I got it cut on Saturday. Bernadette, good to see you. All right. John and Gerald, great to see you. Irish. All right, so today, home edition, I am drinking, this is one of my favorite after dinner drinks, but today I'm drinking it before dinner, 7 o'clock, but it's Averna. So I've got the bottle here. Averna, might be backwards. This is an Amaro. Showing so you can see the label. Averna is the brand of Amaro. You can get this in pretty much any liquor store in the US, probably Canada too. There are many, many different Amaros, but Averna is my favorite. So you can find a lot of different kinds, but I think this is the best. So that's what I'm having tonight. And I always get it with ice, con Kacho. So here it is with ice. Kind of looks like a soft drink or something. And it kind of tastes like flat Coke, maybe, kind of syrupy. But it's, like I said, it's usually an after dinner drink. They do make cocktails with it as well. But it's really good. I love it. Averna. So yeah, today, Tipsy Tuesday again from home. If you caught Second Cup Saturday, you know that that was a yellow day. So Italy is on this 3-tiered system with the virus stuff. Red being like for real lockdown. Yellow, you have a lot of freedom. And then orange is the in-between. And the big thing with orange is that restaurants cannot have people inside. So you can do takeaway food, you can do takeaway coffee, but you cannot sit down. You cannot eat near the restaurant or drink coffee near the restaurant. And so Saturday was a yellow day, and it was our last yellow day for who knows how long. And so now we're orange. And this is the first time Rome has been orange. So we had like the for real lockdown, and then everything opened up like for the whole country. And then when they went to the 3-tier system, Rome remained yellow until the Christmas lockdown, which was for the whole country. And then when it opened back up, we stayed yellow for a couple days, and now we're orange. So that's not good. It means we're one step away from red. They're actually adding another tier though. If anybody can meet the requirements. They're adding white. I think it should be green since it's like red, orange, yellow. I would think green, but that's the safe area, the white zone. And that means all restrictions are lifted except for masks and distancing. And right now, the one that's closest to that is Tuscany, so like Florence. But they still have a long way to go because you have to have like so many weeks of so few cases and rate of infection or whatever that is. So they're closest. But right now, most of Italy is orange, which means we can go out, we can go to churches, we can go places. We cannot leave our region without a valid reason. So I couldn't go, for example, to Assisi or Florence. All the museums are closed. So they were saying the museums are going to reopen starting this weekend. I think they actually said the Colosseum was going to open on Saturday, but then we ended up going to orange. And so museums cannot be open, places like the Colosseum, things like that. But yeah, the big thing is restaurants, which is terrible for the restaurants because, you know, getting stuff to go wasn't really a thing here before. I mean, you could get like a pizza to go or something, but I don't think, I mean, there's some Italians watching right now. I don't think like Italian culture, you would buy like carbonara and take it home usually. I know some seminarians would do that from time to time if they lived like right next to a restaurant. But now that's all you can do. You can get pasta to take home, and some places have it. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think. They make it so you kind of make it yourself. But it's really bad for the restaurants because to go isn't really a thing. And so they're hurting. So I wish that we could go back to yellow. But on Second Cup Saturday, that was a yellow day. So we had coffee a few times at Sant'Eustachio. And that was the last day we could get coffee in a bar and like drink out of a real cup. So that was fun. We did a walk all around Rome. That video is on my website if you missed it, because I could only do it on Instagram that day. So the people on Facebook didn't see it, although I shared it there later. You didn't see it live though. Yeah, so vaccine, people are asking about vaccine. The vaccine is going. From what I've heard, Italy has the most efficient distribution than anyone else in Europe. So they're doing really well with that. I think they had 1 million people vaccinated as of last week, but I'm really not keeping up with that too much. I just figure eventually things will get better and I'll find out. How often do the colors change? They do decrease like every couple weeks or something. So I assume we'll be orange for, I think they said until February 5th, maybe. And then I also heard March 15th. I don't know. That's a long time. Sylvia asks, who is policing non-travel between regions? There are roadblocks and police checks and things like that. And I think if you're going to try to take a train, they check you at the train station. So yeah, they check to make sure nobody's going where they're not supposed to be. Let's see. The video stream is breaking up on Facebook. Let me know if you're having trouble with it. So yeah, what else? What other questions did you have about the virus updates before I move on? No more questions. Okay, so anything, Rose says, anything requiring negative tests to fly into Italy? Yeah, you have to have a negative test to get here. And they also test at the airport. They started doing something now in the EU, so the European Union, that you don't have to quarantine anymore as long as you've had a negative test and you fly into Rome. So most people are saying it's fine on Facebook. Again, I'm drinking Averna tonight. Traditionally an after dinner drink, though some people do make cocktails with it. But this is just straight and on ice. This is the bottle again. You can find this anywhere alcohol is sold in America for the most part. Pretty easy to find. But it comes from Sicily. All right, what else can we talk about? So how am I doing? Do I feel confined? No, I'm fine. I miss my parents, miss going back to the States, but we're allowed to go outside. It would be nice to be able to go to restaurants again. My wife was mentioning the other day how much she misses just going out to dinner. Because I left that part out, even on the yellow days, restaurants are only open to people until 6 p.m. And so then after that, it's takeaway and delivery only. And if you don't know, most Italian restaurants don't usually open until 7 or 7:30. So it's not like they're serving dinner at 5 p.m. It's really just, it means they're open for lunch. So yeah, I don't feel confined. I would like to be able to go back to the States and go out to eat. But no, this isn't like a for real lockdown like we had in the spring, where we couldn't leave the house without like papers and only to the grocery store and things like that. So there's still that sort of freedom. So I'm okay. I would like for things to be over, but it's not affecting me mentally. What else? I was about to talk about something. I already forgot what it was. Let me know if you have questions though. I was going to talk about, I get very easily sidetracked. I don't know if you've ever noticed. Something I like to do in Rome. Goodness, I already forgot what I was going to say. Oh, a church. I wanted to talk about a church because we're coming up on the feast day of St. Thomas Aquinas, I think. And so the Dominican Church here in Rome, one of the Dominican Church, is Santa Maria sopra Minerva. And a lot of people know this church, beautiful church right behind the Pantheon. From the outside, it's very simple, just a white facade. There's a tiny little obelisk in front, and it sits on top of an elephant that was designed by Bernini. But it looks like any other simple outside of a church in Rome. Actually, it looks a lot more simple than most churches. But inside, it's the only Gothic church, the only Gothic style in Rome. And that church has been closed for, goodness, it's probably been like a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years now. Like all last year, it was just kind of a blur. But I think it was closed about a year before 2020. They had some earthquake damage to some of the frescoes inside. We had an earthquake a few years back, and it wasn't that bad in Rome, but it shook loose some of the fresco. And so they were doing restoration on it while the church was still open. And then one day they just had a sign out front. It was basically like scribbled on a piece of notebook paper that said, "Church is closed indefinitely for emergency restoration." So apparently like something really bad happened. And then right before 2020, it opened, maybe December, it opened, but it was only open for a couple weeks, and it was only part of the church. So the church, like the entrance is by the Pantheon, but there's a back entrance. Like you have to know where you're going. You have to walk all the way around the church, and you have to go by like pharmacies and a shop that sells vestments, and like you're like walking way past the church, and then behind it, then there's this tiny little alleyway that looks like a parking lot basically, and it has a couple furniture shops, restoration shops on it. And so they started opening up that back entrance. You could only get up to like where the main altar is of the church. And that was probably only open for a couple weeks before the virus hit and everything started shutting down. But it's reopened just within the last week or so, maybe. and they may have opened like a little further back, and I just noticed. But they're having like a big mass for the Feast of Thomas Aquinas, and so I want to say it's on the 20-something. Somebody might already know what day that is or something. So I'm really excited to be able to go back to that church, Santa Maria sopra Minerva. And that's also where St. Catherine of Siena is buried. That was her church in Rome. They have some beautiful artwork there. Fra Angelico is buried there. And yeah, so I'm really excited about that. It's nice to see things reopening here, even though it's not museums or anything. I mean, our churches are museums. So St. Thomas Aquinas, January 28th. Okay, thank you, Diane. Nelson says, Instagram was freezing up a little. I don't know what the problem. That's the problem with doing this from home, because my internet here is worse than the internet outside. Christina also says it's freezing on Instagram. I'm sorry about that. It's live on Facebook and YouTube if you want to switch over. Katie says, am I impacted by the upheaval in government here? No, I don't keep up with that. There's always crazy stuff happening with the Italian government. So it really doesn't affect me. I'm an American citizen. And so, I mean, I guess some stuff could affect me, but I don't really bother with it. Yeah, lots of people say Instagram is freezing, so I'm sorry about that. Let me just check something real quick, see if I can fix it. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, I'm sorry. Bear with me for just a second. I don't know what happened to Instagram. I don't know. I'm sorry, Instagram. I think that it signed on to another network, another Wi-Fi network, which isn't where it was supposed to be. So yeah, if you're watching on Instagram, oh, and then somebody says that the Facebook one's not working. So I don't know. I apologize. Tipsy Tuesday from home isn't my favorite thing to do. Sharon says, is that church? Yeah, Santa Maria sopra Minerva also has a Michelangelo statue. That's correct. Little glitchy on Facebook. Okay, so maybe YouTube's working. No problem on Facebook. Goodness, I don't know. I'm sorry, people. It's fine on Facebook. What are Italians saying about the inauguration and events on January 6th? Nothing, really. Well, January 6th, that was like headlines in the newspapers here, but I haven't really heard much people talking about the inauguration or anything. But yeah, the Capitol stuff, that was in the news here. YouTube is fine. Facebook is fine. Instagram still not working very well. Yeah, my Instagram, it connected to a different Wi-Fi network, which is not where it's supposed to be, and I can't switch it over without exiting out. So I apologize. I'll post this on Instagram later if you want to jump up. But it's also on Facebook and YouTube, and apparently it's okay. Amanda says she'll take the video wherever she can take it. Christine says fine on FB, could be the internet. Yeah, YouTube is fine. Okay, so we'll stop talking about that. Okay, so yeah, that church reopening. I'm very excited about that. You know, it's the little things these days, little church opening. But the whole church isn't opening. It's still just the front, which is where the tomb of St. Catherine is, the Michelangelo statue for Angelico. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. I'm hoping to be able to get to that Mass on the 28th. And yeah, so that's one of my favorite churches in Rome. I know a lot of people love that church. Julie, the church is Santa Maria sopra Minerva. It's right behind the Pantheon. Gorgeous church. but it doesn't look like much on the outside at all. So a lot of people walk right by it because it doesn't look very fancy. And then there's a statue in front. There's a statue in front that was done by Bernini. It's an elephant. And there's kind of a funny story behind it. So people like to give the Pope gifts. Like even today, if you go to a papal audience, you'll see people bring, well, not today because there are no papal audiences, but usually people will bring the Pope gifts, like a book that they wrote or a painting or something like that. But long ago, the King of Portugal gave the Pope an elephant. And it wasn't just like a statue of an elephant or something. It was an actual elephant. So there was an elephant that lived at the Vatican. And eventually, the elephant died. Elephants weren't made for the climate of Rome. So the elephant died and was buried. There's actually a book you can read. I think it's called The Pope's Elephant. But Bernini designed this statue of the elephant. His name was Anno, Hanno, and put an obelisk on top of it. And the story goes that when Bernini was commissioned, he was going to make an elephant just like 4 legs. And you can look this up at some point, like just Bernini's elephant, so you can see what I'm talking about. But it was going to be, 4 legs, then nothing underneath, like open air. And then there was a guy who didn't really like Bernini that was trying to convince whoever was commissioning the work that it would end up collapsing after a while. And so the person that commissioned the work decided that he trusted that guy over Bernini. And so he made him put it on this box. So the elephant is like on a box. And it's kind of funny that, maybe they didn't realize Bernini was this great artist and architect back then. I don't know, but it's kind of funny somebody doubting him and then another person believing that person over Bernini. But then a few years ago, it may have been like 3 or 4 years ago, there was, sadly, it was an American, was trying to climb up the elephant and grabbed onto the tusk and broke it off. And so you have this masterpiece elephant with a broken tusk by an American. And they found the tusk a little while later. It was like a couple streets away. They tossed it. So it's been fixed. But anyway, church is reopening. There's a mass happening for Thomas Aquinas. I'm very excited about it. Plus, it's just a beautiful church. Speaking of art, the painting on the right. No, so the phone is on a tripod, so I can't really turn it very well, or I have to readjust everything. But you can't see it on Instagram, I'm sorry. On Facebook, the camera is landscape. Yeah, there's a painting behind me. That's actually Paris. It's the Pantheon in Paris. So yeah, it came in the apartment. I'll show it to you sometime. Someday I'll give you a little tour around the apartment. So yeah, that's it, Glory. It's not a Rome street, which you would think maybe they'd have some ancient Rome work here. Julie is asking about ashes. Oh yeah, so that's something that was in the news the past week, is that the Pope issued, I don't know what the official word is for it, but some kind of statement about the distribution of ashes for Ash Wednesday, and said that it could be done, or maybe it has to be done, I don't know, but on the head. So, and I know a lot of people were upset about that, thinking that, that's not the way they're used to it, so that must be the wrong way to do it. But a lot of places in the world sprinkle ashes on top of the head. And that's the norm here in Rome. And so now this year for Ash Wednesday in America, I think that's how it has to be done. And also they're not supposed to say the words. They say it like once before the distribution begins, and then each person just comes up and it's silent. But yeah, here in Rome and other parts of Europe, I mean, there are some that do it on the forehead. They don't do like the big cross on the forehead. They sprinkle. And I didn't know that back in 2000. I was here for Ash Wednesday, and I went to Venice. And this was my first solo trip to Italy. And I've kind of told this story before, but I booked a flight to Italy one way, and I didn't do any planning. I left pretty much the next day. And so I didn't know what I was going to do, but I ended up in Venice. And I ended up in Venice during Carnivale. I didn't know what Carnivale was. It's like Carnival in New Orleans, but I didn't know there was some connection in Venice. So I took a train up to Venice, and I got to the train station, and I was approached. This was like total rookie mistake. I was approached by this guy, and he said, "Do you need a place to stay?" And I was like, "Oh, what a nice guy. He's going to help me find a place to stay in Venice." And I was like, "Yes, I do need a place to stay." And he was like, "Okay, follow me." I hope my mom's not still watching. So I follow this guy like down all these alleyways in Venice, and he takes me to this hotel, and he's like, "All right, it's going to be," I don't know how much it was. It was not cheap. Venice isn't cheap to begin with, but you can imagine during the biggest festival of the year, it's definitely not cheap. And so he's like, "All right, I have a room for you here. It's going to be this much lira." We were on lira at the time. And I was like, "Oh, great. Thanks for helping me." And then he disappeared, never saw him again. But the room it was like just four walls, bathroom down the hall, no window. It was a dump. It was awful. But I didn't get killed or anything, so that was good. But on Wednesday, it was Ash Wednesday, so I was gonna go to mass at St. Mark's, the cathedral there, and I didn't know that in Italy they sprinkle on the head, and so the priest, I waited in line. I went up there. The priest had the ashes, and he was going to sprinkle on my head, but I'm American, so I thought he was going for my forehead, and so like I'm trying to like move my head to where his hand is, and he's like looking at me like I'm crazy, and he's going higher, and I'm like, "Where are you going?" And it was pretty funny. But he finally won, and he sprinkled them on the top of my head. But I didn't know that was a thing until then. I actually didn't know it was a thing even afterwards. Like I had to start doing research. I'm like, why did I gotta put ashes on my head? And so in Rome, you don't usually see people with the big black cross on their head. You do sometimes because some places will do it. The Americans, they have mass at Santa Sabina on Ash Wednesday at 7 a.m. So they'll put the ashes on your head, or on the forehead. And there's a few other places that'll do it. But it's not a big deal here. It doesn't mean like the church is going all liberal or something. Let's see. Joni says, how do the Romans give ashes to nuns in a full habit? I don't know. I will watch this year and let you know. I'm not sure. I guess if you're wearing like the people that wear veils, maybe they just tilt them back a little, or maybe they put them on top. I don't know. All right, some other questions came up about that. Ronnie asks, any word on who will be the U.S. ambassador to the Vatican? No idea. So Callista Gingrich is the current ambassador until tomorrow. And she and Newt fly out tomorrow morning back to the U.S. So no idea who's going to be assigned here next. Monica says, love how people forget this is a pandemic and not everything is normal. Yeah, who cares how the ashes are distributed? That's kind of like how I feel, like it's not a deal. But then somebody said, a lot of people, their whole life, that's how it's been done. And so to them, it's tradition. So I can kind of get that too, but there are other things that are bigger. Gloria says, wish she was here to get ashes on her head. Canada's probably going to do it on the top 2, I would think. We'll see. Diane says, do Italians put it on the head because they're too vain to have ashes on the forehead? No, I've been to Ash Wednesday in France. They do it there. I mean, I guess they could be vain too. But no, I don't think it's a vanity thing. I think it's just how they do it. I mean, if you saw some of the people, they're not vain at all. Okay, what other questions do we have? So I mentioned there's some new people that just joined on Instagram. Hopefully, maybe the connection's better on Instagram. I don't know. Drinking Averna from home because we're not allowed to go out for drinks these days. Nice music. Good. It's Mozart. Glad I didn't even know you could hear that. Oh, I noticed. So the video about the blackout, we won't talk about that, but it's over 100,000 views. And so not by my choice, but YouTube has started putting ads on some of my videos. So I apologize for those of you that don't like to watch ads. Apparently they can just make that decision sometimes. Joni says, makes more sense with the gospel when it says you should wash your face while fasting. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, Joni, I don't know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about Ash Wednesday, but I don't understand. My mom says the moon. Oh, so my mom said that last night in Georgia, the moon was outlined in red, like at the bottom. And she wants to know if anyone else saw it. She took a picture. Very pretty. I did not see that here. Gloria says, did I have to pay extra for the 500,000 hits? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the page where I debunked all the stuff about blackouts, Pope being arrested, helicopters, gunshots, motorcade, all that, had 500,000 views. And yeah, there's a big penalty I had to pay, or I have to pay whenever the bill comes. 4 figures. It's I've learned my lesson now. Like if somebody's wrong, just let them be wrong. It's very expensive to have a popular post. Let's see. So we're talking about Ash Wednesday. I'll be doing a lot of talking about Lent when it comes to Lent. The podcasts, hopefully you're all listening to the podcast, Catholic Traveler Podcast. Most recent episode is on the Pantheon. This week we're doing an episode on papal events, which is a lot of fun. But during Lent, we're going to do the station churches, talking about those. I'm reshooting a lot of my station church videos because they are a little dated. The kids are older now and I'm older. So we're reshooting those videos. But I'm very excited for Lent this year because I always like to go to the station churches, and I'll talk more about the station churches, the history behind those and all that here as we get closer to Lent. But it's just something I'm really looking forward to because it'll feel like some normalcy, getting back to something I try to do every year. And I'll get to bring that to you, people who can't visit Rome right now. Laura really enjoyed the Pantheon episode. Good, I'm glad you did. I think the podcast has a lot of good stuff on it. We just finished our 13th episode. That's the one that's going up on Thursday about papal events. I think it's really good. I think it's good stuff. We're still working on some of the tech side of it. Like, I still have like mic issues all the time. But anyway, you should definitely check out the podcast, Catholic Traveler Podcast. It's on iTunes. And I know there's a lot of listeners. So it would be very helpful if you could like rate the podcast on iTunes and also leave a comment, because then more people will see it. Am I turning my phone grayscale again? Yes. So for the last, I don't know how long I've been doing it, maybe 4 or 5 years now, I turn all my devices into grayscale. So I have instructions to do it on my website. I'll post that once we get closer. But instead of looking at, this chair is orange, it would just show up as like, it would look like I'm on a black and white television. And it sounds like a simple thing to do, not very penitent, but it really sucks the life out of devices. It sucks like the joy out of them. If you can imagine like scrolling on Instagram and everything's black and white, and not like the artsy black and white, like where people have tweaked their photos, but just like everything's black and white, or watching a video. It's a really good thing to do for Lent. And a lot of priests are doing it now, and they agree that it's absolutely miserable. So Sharon's asking, will the live show up as grayscale? If your phone or your iPad or whatever is set to grayscale, you'll see it in grayscale. But if I'm in grayscale, you won't see me in grayscale. Does that make sense? Like, it'll still show up in color if your phone is color. And Gloria, you're on an Android, so you can't do podcasts on iTunes? No? I thought Android had a podcast app. I don't know, for iTunes. Loving the podcast. Good, thank you. Yeah, I have a funny story though about grayscale. Last year, not last year. Goodness. It's like last year didn't happen. In 2019, during Lent, I was grayscale, and I was on a flight to Israel. Oh, and Nelson just said Israel's lifting their travel ban on March 31st. Good. I cannot wait to get back. Reading some other comments. Yeah, so I was on a flight to Israel, and it's about a 4-hour flight from Rome, and I was watching Seinfeld, and it was on my iPad. It was in grayscale, and the person beside me looked over and said, "Oh, black and white. I forgot how old that show was." Like, they thought that Seinfeld was a black and white show, like from the 50s or something. I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, so everything is just miserable in grayscale. Hopefully you'll all be able, so we'll be yellow. Well, okay, so Julie, yeah, even if we're orange, we'll still be able to go to the churches. Even if we're red, actually, even in red, we're allowed to visit churches. So I should be able to get you to the churches during Lent, no matter what, unless it's like a more severe lockdown. Android podcasts are on Spotify. Okay, so you can listen on Spotify, but then you can't rate it on iTunes. That's okay, as long as you're listening. That's the important part. Are we able to venture beyond immediate area during this lockdown? So yeah, so the orange, I mentioned this at the beginning, on the orange days or orange zone, whatever, we can do pretty much whatever we want in Lazio. So I can go all around Rome. I can go to the churches. The museums are closed. Restaurants are closed for dining in, but we're allowed to go out. We just can't go to other regions like Tuscany or Umbria or things like that. So it really doesn't affect us too much. It's just sad that we can't go to the restaurants. All right. What other questions do you have here? Oh, more people loving the podcast. Good. I'm glad people love the podcast. It's 4 years in the making, so it just took that long for us to finally release it. Oh, good. Kathleen's here. Good to see you, Kathleen. Sorry to tell you, Kathleen, that I don't really watch football, but I'm hoping that the Packers do not win on Sunday. I hope you don't block me for that. Okay, what else? What else can we talk about today? Drinking Averna, again, it's almost gone. It's my favorite. It's really my favorite drink, Averna. You can see it there. And again, you can get that at pretty much any store in the US and probably Canada as well. Gloria's talking about the snow. Yeah, you had some beautiful snow. Oh, Kathleen says I'm in trouble. No, I'm fine with the Packers too. I was just kidding. Gloria says, what about the snow? Yeah, Gloria is in Canada, Saskatoon. Amazing snow. A friend of mine in Positano, they got snow about an hour from Positano yesterday, I guess, in the mountains. And she posted some videos today, which was amazing. And even in Lazio, I follow this account. It's just weather in Lazio. And everywhere in Lazio is getting snow, except Rome. But Rome is surrounded by mountains, so all these areas are getting snow. And in fact, today we went to a park, and from the park there's a view of the mountains surrounding, and they're all like covered in snow. So I would love to see snow. We had snow here a few years ago, and it was the best day of my life. Amanda says she just became a patron. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Speaking of patrons, we're going to be doing the next cooking class soon. But it's not going to be the carbonara yet because Christina's still not happy with her carbonara, even though I love it. We're going to do Kacho a Pepe. So I posted a picture of that on Facebook and Instagram the other day. We had that on Saturday from one of our favorite restaurants. It's a very simple pasta. It's basically just cheese, fresh pasta, and black pepper. But it's also very easy to mess up. And when I bring my groups to Rome, we always get it at Polese, and they make this amazing cacio e pepe, and it's one of the favorite dishes that people have. So we're going to be making that live for you. We did amatriciana, and now we're going to do cacio e pepe. Daniela asks about the restaurants rebelling and reopening. So I've had a few people send me articles and even some pictures from restaurants that have, like some of them say like 5,000 restaurants or something have decided to go against the lockdown and just open. But I haven't actually seen that here. One of them I saw was in Rome, but like out in the suburbs somewhere. So I don't know how widespread that is and if it's really doing anything. Like I think it's ridiculous that they're closed. Like we were on a bus today that's supposed to be 50%, but it was pretty crowded. So that's okay. But restaurants can't be open even for outdoor dining. And on one hand, I get like what the government's saying is that dinner time, that's when everybody gathers and they're all hanging out and chatting. But the restaurants, they all, like right after the lockdown ended the first time, they bought all the plexiglass things to separate the tables. They took out half their tables, so the restaurants don't have as many tables. Instead of the regular menus, they have digital menus at a lot of them where you just, with your phone, you scan a QR code and you get the menu. So they've like followed all the rules. Servers wearing masks. Some of them even did like plastic utensils and stuff for a while. They've got rid of that. So they follow all the rules, but still they have to be closed now to people. So I don't blame them for rebelling, because you can still do so many other things that are around people. But apparently restaurants, I guess, I don't know what the end game is for that, why they're doing that. Let's see. I see some of my YouTube people that like to argue with me are commenting now, so I won't answer them. Cooking classes are patrons only. Yes, Melody. So patrons, so the Patreon thing, you can find that from my website. There's a link to Patreon. And we do a live event once a month. We've done a couple months. We did a couple live events. So the cooking classes are for patrons only. But those things stay forever. So like if you signed up 6 months from now, all previous cooking classes would still be available for you. Or you could just sign up, watch all the cooking classes, and the next month cancel. Don't do that. Nelson blocked a few of those YouTubers. Yeah, the YouTube stuff was nuts. And it's partially my fault because I respond to them. They don't like that. They delete a lot of stuff after they say it, and I prove them wrong. The road from Canterbury to Rome. Yeah, I should talk about that. I should do a video about that, Nelson. Roberta is making cacio pepe right now with artichoke on top. That sounds very good. I don't know how to make the crunchy artichoke. We just make regular old cacio pepe. We're having that tonight. So she's testing her recipe again tonight. So we've had so much carbonara and cacio pepe lately because she's testing it to show you. Rick blocked a lot of those people on YouTube as well. I probably should do that, but I kind of enjoy it sometimes. Not sometimes. It's not like this happens that often. This one time. It's crazy that people are so nuts. Okay, what else? Any other questions? We're getting near the end here. Catfishing. Yes, they just want attention. Okay, so any other questions? What else can I talk about? I'm really excited for Lent. Like I know I said I'm going to talk about Lent coming up, but I'm super excited about Lent. I'm really excited about my birthday. I have a couple months still, March 2nd. But if you don't know my birthday tradition, I go to the number of churches that, I always have trouble saying this. I'm turning 46, so I'm going to go to 46 churches on my birthday. And I do that every year. So it's a lot of fun. And I don't really plan it out. I just walk out the door and see where I end up. So I'm looking forward to that because it's been a while since I've done something that extreme. Will Second Cup Saturday be from home this week? Probably not, because we can get coffee to go. We can actually get drinks to go, but not after 6. And you can't drink them nearby. So I think on Saturday, I'll probably go maybe Sant'Eustachio again or something. Or maybe I'll go, there's another place I really want to take you guys to for Second Cup Saturday. It's not far from home, and they put chocolate in the cup. And then they put the espresso or the cappuccino, and it's really good. So I may go there. It's not as scenic around there, though. We'll see. Victoria, is Christina going to make Kacho Pepe before carbonara? Yeah, we're going to do the Kacho Pepe first because we want to do that like next week or something. And the carbonara, even though I think it's amazing, she's not happy with it. So she would probably be very nervous making it. How on earth am I going to be 46? I don't know. It just happens. Every year I get older. Chocolate in the Cup, you've been there. Yeah, it's really good. And for some reason, I can't remember the name. That happens too. I forget the name of places. It might come to me in a minute. You can't sit out of your apartment and drink. Yeah, I could go outside and drink coffee. And you can get coffee to go from a bar and walk around with it. But alcohol isn't the same. Like if it was not daytime, if it was summer, then it would still be light outside at 7 p.m. right now. And so I could even be doing Tipsy Tuesday outside. I could do it from the terrace, the rooftop. I could do it on the street. But right now it's too dark. You wouldn't see anything. Got to learn to make, Suzanne wants to make Kacho Pepe. Okay, I think we're going to do it probably next week, Kacho Pepe on Patreon. Let's see, 80 is going to be hard. Yes. When I turn 80, if I'm still here in Rome, it will be very hard to visit 80 churches. When I did, okay, so last year I didn't do it. The lockdown was about to begin, and I went to St. Peter's because that was going to be church number one. I always start with Mass and confession at St. Peter's. And I walked into St. Peter's and there was nobody there. And now there's never anybody there. But I had never seen it empty before. And so I spent 3 hours in St. Peter's just by myself and the guys that work there. And so I just spent the day at St. Peter's. But when I did 44 churches, I ended up walking, I think it was 16 miles. So like a half marathon. So when I'm 80, I don't think I'll be able to do that. How many people are usually on my Holy Land pilgrimages? So most of my trips, I cap them at 27 people, whether it's Holy Land or Italy, and sometimes even less. And I think once things reopen, it might even be fewer than that, just by design, just because I don't know how many people are going to be comfortable sitting on a bus. Like even as it is now, I have a 50 passenger bus. It's like 54 passenger bus, and I only have half the people. But I think people might still want a little extra space. So once things open back up, it might even be less than that for a little while. But usually 20 to 27 people is the most I will take anywhere. Laura loves that Rome is so walkable. I do too. I love the walking. I think that's one of the reasons I always put on so much weight when I go back to the States. Well, not so much, like 10 pounds or something. Gloria made carbonara, burnt the guanciale. That does happen. Will I be going to the Holy Land in 2021? I don't know. So someone just said that the Holy Land is opening on March 31st. I'm ready. It's just a matter of, will people be ready? As soon as it's allowed for me to go back with groups, I'll be doing that. My guide over there, he's ready for me. The driver, they're ready. So the first place I'll go once things open back up, I'll go back to the US so I can see my parents. And then after that, it'll be the Holy Land. Because I really, really miss the Holy Land. Jan wants to know how long I plan to live in Rome. We've been here 7 years as of last week, I think. So I don't know, until we can't live here anymore. Jeff Cavins is taking a group to the Holy Land in April for 2 weeks, April 15th. Yeah, his groups are usually like 2, 3, 4 buses. I don't know about the one you're referring to. April 15th, we'll see. I mean, if they're opening on March 31st, I guess that would be possible. All right, so we're at 1 hour, so I guess we'll wrap it up. You say the Jeff Cavins one will be much smaller. Probably. I can imagine he wouldn't be able to get 200 people right now to go on a trip. All right, so wrap it up. I'm going to go have dinner, and I'll see you on Saturday. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you here, anything you want me to show you on video, any place you want me to take you. But yeah, so that's it. So I will see you next week. Ciao. Enjoy your Tuesday. Bye.